ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ കൂടെ ഈ നമ്മുടെ മലബാർ ജേണലിൻ്റെ പ്രധാന ഈ മാസത്തെ തീമായ പൊളിറ്റിക്സ് ബിയോണ്ട് 2024 എന്ന വിഷയത്തിൽ സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് പാഴക്കാല പ്രഭാകറാണ്. ഡോക്ടർ പാഴക്കാല പ്രഭാകർ അദ്ദേഹം വളരെ ഇതായിട്ടുള്ള ഇന്ത്യയെ മൊട്ടാകെ അറിയപ്പെടുന്ന സ്കോളറാണ്, കമൻറ്റേറ്ററാണ്. പിന്നെ കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം അദ്ദേഹം ഇന്ത്യയിലെ വൺ ഓഫ് ദ ബെസ്റ്റ് സെല്ലേഴ്സ് ആയ 𝗂𝗏 എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ പുസ്തകത്തിൻ്റെ രചയിതാവ് കൂടിയാണ്. അദ്ദേഹമാണ് നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. അദ്ദേഹം സംസാരിക്കുന്നത് പ്രധാനമായിട്ടും രണ്ട് വിഷയങ്ങളാണ് ബ്രോഡ്ലി സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. ഒന്ന്, ഇന്ത്യൻ രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തിൻ്റെ പുതിയ ഗതിവിഗതികളെക്കുറിച്ചിട്ടും ഇന്ത്യയുടെ സാമ്പത്തികമായിട്ടുള്ള പുരോഗതിയെക്കുറിച്ചിട്ടും അതിൻ്റെ ഇന്നത്തെ അവസ്ഥയെക്കുറിച്ചിട്ടുമാണ്. So, very warm welcome to you, Dr. Prabhakar, and we are very delighted to have with us you on Malabar Journal today. A very warm welcome. So, we will start this conversation. As I told you earlier that we have our theme for the month of January and February is the politics beyond 2024. So, the focus of that discussion is mainly on two things. One is that there is a large section of the people in India feels that whatever limited democracy and pluralism which India is having is under threat, or somebody even say that it is almost over. And there is, of course, a large section of the liberal, progressive people in India believes so. But, of course, the Hindu-Vadi or the Hindutva-Vadi people dismisses such interpretations or such evaluations and say that India is growing and becoming a great nation under the leadership of Narendra Modi. So the 2024 election is supposed to be a kind of a watershed moment in India's politics. What is your view on this thing? On this general thing about the threat faced by the pluralism and democracy in India and this hype about the so-called hyper-nationalism?
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm really honored to be here because I know this is a very serious forum. It is not some kind of a very superficial clickbait kind of a thing. It encourages this platform serious and in-depth discussions. I'm very glad to be here. I think politics beyond 2024 is a very important topic. First, let us see what is the kind of politics that we see today in 2024, till 2024. And then that would be the basis for us to talk about politics beyond 2024.
Okay.
Of course, politics is not a phenomenon which is in the vacuum. It is an outcome of your economy, your cultural characteristics, your sociological characteristics, and of course your religion, your belief system, and the kind of ideals and values that you have lived for and that you would strive for. And of course all these things emanate from the society. Having said that, let us try and understand where we are now. To me, Indian politics, because of the underlying factors that I have talked about.
You are talking politics in a very larger context, not about
just
the electoral politics.
Not electoral politics. Because you see, electoral politics is one very small aspect of the general political phenomena.
Yeah.
And electoral politics to a large extent depends upon or the outcome of all the factors that I have mentioned.
Yes.
So let us first of all focus on the larger picture.
Yes.
Over the last 10 years especially, there is a very important shift that has taken place in the Indian political discourse.
Yeah.
That is the displacement of the concept of secularism from its primary position. Secularism used to be the center point of political discourse in this country. I will illustrate this point. Till some time ago, even the BJP used to say they were a secular party.
They are the genuine secular party.
Yeah.
Others were dubbed as pseudo-secularists.
Yes, they were secular, and the left and the Congress were pseudo-secular. They were the genuine secular, and they used to say, we are secular, also secular, but not like them.
Okay.
But today, if you notice, every political party in the country, with a very few honorable exceptions, are saying we are also Hindu, but not like them.
Okay. The transition is very clear now.
It's very clear, and it's a massive shift. Many people have not been able to take note of it. See, political parties and political leaders are now saying we are also Hindu, we also do puja, we also do part, we also visit temples, we are also devotees of Ram, we are also wearing Janu. So in order to gain legitimacy, earlier even BJP used to say they were secular. Today, in order to gain respectability and acceptability in Indian political scene, every other political party is saying that we are also Hindu.
Yes.
So this is a massive shift that has taken place in the political discourse of this country. This is the outcome of years of effort by a huge silent army for communalism.
What do you call the Hindu communalism?
Hindu communalism. And of course they were aided by, Muslim communalism, Muslim extreme elements, both nationally as well as internationally,
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
They feed on each other. But so much so, a large section of the Hindu population is communalized, and some of them, a significant section, is also radicalized.
Yeah.
This is something which is important. And then what you have is that the core values of India's republic, like secularism, diversity, pluralism, they are no more aspirational values for a large section of the population. And not necessarily all these are BJP supporters.
Yes.
But you have them in different political parties also.
Yeah.
And the project of communalism, whether it is by RSS or Vishwa Hindu Parishad or other people, the project of communalism is not just to keep one political party in power. Please understand that.
Yeah.
The project of communalism is to make every political party in this country
A Hindu party.
a Hindu party. So ultimately, every party is Hindu. Ultimately, everybody is batting for the Hindu cause. And those who are batting for the core values, the founding values and the founding principles of our republic are nowhere in the picture. What is happening? This is the basis now. We are here.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about politics beyond 2024, from where do we go from here?
Yeah.
2024 election is definitely a very crucial. We are at an inflection point. Either we go on this road, on this path very rapidly and come down and go to the depths of communalism, or there is a respite. What I'm trying to say is, when I say is going to be a respite, because even if the present dispensation and the present ruling party loses the 2024 election, I do not see that the threat of communalism will disappear.
Yes.
It is still going to be there and probably will rise up again
With more vengeance.
with more vengeance in 29 or beyond. So 2024 and beyond, the politics of that era depends to some extent, not to a large extent, but to some extent on the outcome of the 2024 elections. But I will not be satisfied even if the communal forces receive some kind of a setback in 2024, because to me, it will take at least a couple of decades of consistent hard work by secular forces to take out the communal poison from a large number of people in this country. Only then India will be safe from the communal violence.
So here is what I wanted to ask you. So there is substantial section of the so-called middle class. They were at the forefront of the freedom struggle, or even in the early formative days of the Indian Republic. They were the support base of what you described as the core values of the Indian Republic. Do you think that there is a major shift in the attitude of this middle class in India?
You see, there is a new middle class. Now, when we talk about India, or when IMF talks about India, when World Bank talks about India, when Washington talks about India, when the Western countries talk about India, when the rating agencies talk about India, they talk about India of 330 million people who are the middle class and upper middle class.
Yeah, from the lower end of the middle class to the upper end of the middle class.
Yeah.
That is 33 crore people.
That's it. Just about 330 million,
Yeah.
which is more or less equal to the population of the United States.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they don't bother because they are not the market.
Yeah.
But the large section of Indian population, to all the agencies and all the countries that I've mentioned, are simply invisible.
Or made invisible.
Made invisible. Now, this 330 million or 33 crores we are talking about, these people are so divorced from the long struggle for India's freedom, led by people like Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel and other people. They have absolutely no idea, because if you've noticed, since the time of liberalization, somehow in the academia, social sciences, teaching of political science and humanities and history,
Even economics,
anything to do with the society is downgraded, and education predominantly focused on technology, engineering, computer sciences.
and technology also learning some skills, not the technology or science per se.
Yes, not any fundamental research.
Yeah.
That has become the predominant occupation of the education system. In other words, we were more and more interested in creating the labor force that would be a cheap labor force for the
Global capital.
global corporations. So that has become the end, that has become the purpose of education. So much so what happened is that this generation, therefore you have people in the IITs and IIMs and businesses and all these people, they can look at you and say, look, what a wonderful road this is. Why didn't Nehru do this? Little do they know that when India became independent, what was its finances? What kind of infrastructure did we have? What was the rate of, even literacy?
Yes.
They have no idea. They have absolutely no idea where was the capital coming from. Why did India choose to invest a lot of its resources in public sector? Because there was no private sector.
Yes.
There was no private capital. There was nobody coming forward to invest in, say, infrastructure or industry.
Basic industries and all this.
So, whatever development that you see today in the private sector is a spin-off from the initial investment in the public sector.
Yeah.
So, but this 33 crore population that you talk about, the so-called middle class, who are very vocal, very influential, and very loud in their social media presence, and because they're qualified, they go abroad, and they continuously say, why can't we be like that?
Yeah.
This is the kind of situation that we have.
In short, we could say that they are the only visible India.
Yeah.
The other is made invisible.
They're quiet, silent, muted. Their voices are not heard on the 9 o'clock TV debates. Their voices do not figure in the newspaper columns, in the so-called conclaves organized by these huge media barons.
Media barons or think tanks.
Yeah, think tanks. So therefore what happens is people everywhere think this is the real discourse. But it is not the real discourse. This is one aspect of it. And these are the people, because of their lack of information or knowledge or grounding of history, of anything to do with the society, they are not in a position to verify the kind of claims that are coming up from the communal forces.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, today we have organizations which term themselves as cultural organizations.
Yeah.
And you have, political outfits supported by those cultural organizations, so-called cultural organizations. Now, the leadership of these organizations, these platforms, today, they claim that Nehru was not a patriot.
Yeah.
Nehru actually ruined India. People who are studying in IITs and IIMs themselves do not know that it is the vision of that generation of leadership, including Jawaharlal Nehru,
that created the IITs and
those,
the
yes,
IIMs.
Another paradox I must tell you here is that leaders, platforms, and organizations which had absolutely nothing to do with the long freedom movement of India today market themselves as patriots.
Freedom fighters.
Freedom fighters. They were the ones who were patriotic, and they were the ones who did a lot of things to the country. And everybody says, whatever it is, they are patriots. This is the kind of India we are living in. The reason why I said this so elaborately is, where do we go from here? So the agenda is not to just win an election. The agenda is much larger. That larger agenda includes a reinvention of India's secular credentials, values, respect for pluralism, acceptance of diversity. These things have to be done, and these things are not easy to do. I'll tell you why it is not easy. It is easy to provoke you. It is easy to make you hate somebody. It is not easy to make you love somebody or accept somebody or tolerate somebody.
Or discuss something in a very serious manner.
Exactly.
In a multidimensional manner.
Exactly. This is the general, ideological atmosphere. This is the general conversation of politics. Now look at the economy. Today you mentioned that the government is claiming that they have taken a lot of people out of poverty.
Yeah, they are saying that the Prime Minister is repeatedly saying that we have lifted 25 crore people, 25 point some crore people out of poverty during the last 9 years.
Yes.
So what is the veracity of this claim? What is the basis of this claim?
You see, I'll tell you, it started with something called multi-dimensional poverty index.
Yeah.
Which was released by one of the international organizations.
Yeah.
Multi-dimensional poverty index is a very important concept because national income accounting and therefore per capita income accounting and the numbers could be very misleading.
Yeah.
I'll give you a simple example. Suppose if both of us are the economy.
Yeah.
And our economy, the gross domestic product of our economy, where only two of us are there, is 100 rupees.
Yeah.
The per capita income of our economy is 50 rupees.
Yeah.
But in reality, it could be 99 rupees
with me,
with you, and 1 rupee with me.
Yeah.
So the per capita income and the national income accounting does not take the nuances and
the huge difference
and the deconstruction.
Oh yeah, the gap between these
Yeah,
two.
the inequality doesn't enter into the conversation.
Yeah.
And maybe both of us have 50 rupees.
Yeah.
But I don't have, for several reasons, for social reasons, for caste reasons, for religious reasons, so for whatever reason, that I have no access to education.
Yes.
I have no access to walking on the roads. I have no access to clean drinking water. I have no access to a good house or a roof over my head. So what does having 50 rupees mean if I have no freedom?
Yeah.
If I have no access to information, if I have no access to information of what is happening in my society and what is happening in the world.
So in an earlier era, we used to call it social capital.
Yeah. So the concept of multidimensional poverty index is introduced in such a way that if it is not income poverty alone, but if you are deprived of education, if you are deprived of clean drinking water, if you are deprived of good health facilities, if you are deprived of good roads to go around, for your mobility,
nutrition,
if these are not included to understand a society's progress or otherwise, then there is just income poverty or income affluence do not mean anything. That is the reason why multidimensional poverty index is brought in. But this government is taking advantage of that.
Okay.
In the sense that your income levels are falling, but they are saying that, we have given you internet, we have given you roads, we have given you gas cylinders at a subsidized thing. For whenever there is an election, they promise 2 or 3 cylinders. And they are saying that, we have constructed so many toilets and all that. But even there, the government data are unreliable, not authentic, and the figures are being fudged. I'll give you one small example. Earlier, 1 kilometer of a 4-lane road used to be 1 kilometer of a 4-lane road. Today, 1 kilometer of a 4-lane road is 4 kilometers. It is 1 kilometer. Earlier, that was the reckoning. Today, 1 kilometer of 4-lane road is 4 kilometers.
4 kilometers.
So, everything they are showing by inflating with a factor of 4. Therefore, they say that multidimensional poverty has reduced. So, one is they're taking advantage of the other factors, ignoring the income factor deprivation. They're removing the income factor and inflating the figures by a factor of 4. as an example, what I told you about the highways, and saying that they have
lifted
these people out of poverty. Now, the international organization has come out with this, and international organizations, most of them, they take the national government data and do it, because they don't have the infrastructure to
collect the data.
To collect the data on their own. The government of India's data are so unreliable, so fudged, so much manipulated that you can't rely on them at all. Because you have seen, we have no data. I mean, the government, how the government suppressed the unemployment data in 2019, just before the elections. But anyway, it leaked. And how the government even today says that they don't have any data about the migrant labor.
Yes.
About employment, unemployment, about COVID deaths. They have no data.
And we also have the situation where some of the finest statisticians in the country, or the people who are dealing with the data, they have quit their government jobs and they are working independently, or they are questioning the methods used by the government to suppress data.
You see, for instance, you have the National Statistical Office.
Yeah.
All the experts have resigned.
Yeah, including that, what is his name? I forgot his name, Mohanan.
Yes.
Yeah.
From Kerala.
Yeah.
And you had the recently, recollect the recent controversy in the International Institute of Population
Studies.
You know, the data collected by them with very rigorous scientific methods is going against the narrative of the government about, open defecation and all that.
Yeah.
And Professor James was sacked.
Yeah.
So they do not want any inconvenient data to surface. So, and therefore they keep on saying that India is growing, India is the fastest growing economy, India is going to reach, $5 trillion economy very soon.
Yeah, another hype is this 5 trillion.
This 5 trillion. Now, the thing is this, at constant prices, where are we? With inflation, we can be anywhere.
Yeah, on the nominal growth level or anything.
You see, even if you just sit, do nothing,
our economy will be growing.
Anyway, it will go to $5 trillion because the inflation, because the inflation today is at a very unacceptably high level. Even the Reserve Bank of India's acceptable level is very high.
Very high.
That is 6%.
Yeah.
Now, it is more than that, and whatever the government says, leave that alone. But what is the Reserve Bank of India saying? Reserve Bank of India, in their recent monetary policy, they have refused to revise the repo rate and the reverse repo rate, saying that the rate of inflation is quite high.
Yeah, the threat is still very high.
And this government, if you look at the economy side, I told you about the poverty.
Yeah.
And then you look at the World Hunger Index. It has placed India at a very low level. And the government objected to it.
And that is consistently, it is not for the last year alone, for the last 2-3 reports of the World Hunger Index report says that we are on a very lower level.
Yes. And the government protested, saying that, this is anti-India, defaming India, that their methodology is flawed. And somebody from the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council wrote a piece saying that they have their methodology is flawed and all that. And of course, one of the ministers made a silly comment that, when that minister was touring and the phone rang and the minister took the call and the voice other side asked, "Are you hungry?" And the minister said, "Yes, I'm hungry." And then, they wrote that India is hungry. That kind of a silly objections are also raised. But notwithstanding all that, we don't take it seriously. But the serious issue is this. If the government thought that there was actually no hunger in India, why is it that the government had announced free ration for 82 crore people, not just for 1 year, but at a stretch for 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Why? If everybody is well fed, if everybody is having enough food to eat, there is no hunger, why are you giving 82 crore people, it's almost about 80% of the population. 5 years free ration.
And also the number of people claiming for this Mahatma Gandhi rural employment.
You see, last budget, whatever was allocated to Manrega was used up in 6 months.
6 months, and they have to provide additional amount.
Yeah. What does it mean? It means people are really in a hopeless situation. Because who will go for a minimum wage? Only somebody who has no hope of getting a decent wage, isn't it?
Yeah, and this thing is even below the minimum wage fixed by the government.
Yes.
And now they are now going on a kind of an elimination round by insisting on linking your Aadhaar with this.
Yeah. They're doing every kind of a trick. Yeah. Another very serious issue is India today has one of the highest rates of youth unemployment in the world.
Yeah.
It is at 24%. We are in the company of Iran, Syria, Lebanon, that kind of a troubled areas and war-torn areas. And our neighbor, Bangladesh, has only 12% of youth unemployment. So we have uncontrolled high inflation. We have very high youth unemployment. Labor participation ratio declines. Women participation in that further declines. And the public debt has increased by 100 lakh crores in the last 9 to 10 years. Domestic savings contracted. Domestic investment has come down. Indirect taxes, the incidence has increased. Corporate taxes are reduced. Yes. So burden is on the lower income people, poorer people. And tax burden on the richer class and corporate class is less. And the government also very proudly announces that their GST collections are increasing. What is GST? It is an indirect tax.
Indirect tax, yeah.
Indirect tax, you are collecting a lot of money and increasing. That share is increasing by taking out from the poorer people, isn't it?
Yes.
You should be actually hesitant to announce that as a big achievement, but they are not, because they also do not know. That is the kind of an economic situation. If you ask me, what is the politics beyond 2024? If you know where we are in our economy, in our polity, in the general discourse about the core values of our republic, they are in this stage. Now, if we do not arrest this kind of a drift in our economy, in our polity, in our culture, in our core values, then politics beyond 2024 will be, if this trend continues, if this government continues, then it's going to be even worse. And look at the federal structure.
Yeah, that is something which I wanted to raise with you.
That is also being threatened. Now you see, recently there was a video leak. Must have come to your notice also. The former CEO of 𝗵𝗲 Aayog, he said to a seminar, somebody recorded that the Prime Minister wanted the share of the states reduced from 42%
to 32%. He was really insisting on a 10%.
That was the recommendation. 42% rise was the recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission under Dr.
𝗵𝗲, yeah.
But the Prime Minister chose to pressurize the Commission to reduce that. But of course, the Commission, the chairman had a spine and he said, no, nothing doing. Either you accept it or reject it, but we are going to stick to that. Okay. That was the thing, which means that the Prime Minister, even during the 14th Finance Commission, had this design to throttle
the share of the
states and squeeze them. Now, therefore, you have a situation where the federal finances are in bad shape. more power. In fact, many states today are not able to fund a lot of their agenda with the state's own resources.
Yeah, if you...
They had to look for the munificence of the central government. Okay. That is the reason why the ruling party at the center goes on saying, have double engine government. Elect us here also so that your fund flow will be smooth. It is, in fact, you see, they are trying to throttle the rights of the states, financial rights of the states.
What you call the financial sovereignty, whatever the limited physical sovereignty the states are having is now getting completely eroded.
Yes, yes. And every scheme is a central government scheme.
Central government scheme.
And the ministers in the central government coming to the states and insisting that, where is our Prime Minister's photograph?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is what happened in Kerala recently.
As if, as if they are not collecting any money from the state.
Yeah.
Then there are states where a rupee is collected, only 30-35 paisa come back to the state.
States. That is what Tamil Nadu, Kerala and all the South Indian states are saying.
And there are some states where a rupee is collected but 3 rupees go back to them. That is the kind of inequality, that is the kind of asymmetry that we see in the federal structure. So politically, financially, in the core values of our republic, in polity, in the conversation, in every way, this is the situation. And let me add one more point. Now, there are proposals to increase the number of Lok Sabha constituencies.
Yeah, that is what delimitation exercise.
Delimitation exercise. And they've already made a huge parliament house for it.
Yeah. And the delimitation comes, we are told that if the present proposals is coming, and if they are taking away the 1971 census and they are going to base it on a latest census, the South Indian states the number of seats from South India is going to come down drastically, and politically we are going to be a kind of a non-entity in the whole South India.
Political disempowerment.
Yeah, disempowerment to say it.
Now what will happen is, as it is, all the South Indian states together, whatever number of Lok Sabha MPs that they send, is more or less equal to Uttar Pradesh and Bihar.
Bihar, yeah.
So all this will be cancelled out by just one small political geography of India.
India, basically the Gangetic Basin.
Exactly. So if that is the case, a lot of things are at stake. Our federation will be under stress. Our core values of our republic are under stress. Our economy is under stress. Our polity is under stress. Our cultural moorings are under stress. Our value systems are under stress. The value systems that have come from, Constitution has not just come from the air.
Yeah.
The values that are reflected in the Constitution are an outcome of a long-drawn struggle for independence. There are so many ideas clashed.
Yeah, so many streams of thought.
So many streams. And there was communalism, and there was every stream of thought, both, from the left and from the right.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what prevailed was that this country is a diverse country, linguistically, religious, caste,
culturally,
region, culture, cuisine, attire, dress, everything. And not only tolerance, a very patronizing tolerance, but acceptance of diversity. That is what we chose as our path forward. Now, that path is now being set aside violently. And today we have, lynchings, we have calls for genocide, we have calls for economic boycott. And there are also, slogans. People catch hold of somebody and say, you must shout this slogan.
Yeah.
If you have to live in Bharat, if you have to live in India, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have a land to go away.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing is openly played out on the roads of the national capital. In central Delhi,
Delhi.
this kind of a drama is being played out. This kind of a violent things are being played out. And those people who shout these slogans are not even apprehended by the law enforcing agencies. The law enforcing agencies today are used against people who speak truth to power, people who are in the opposition, people who tell the truth about what is happening in the society, what is happening in the economy. People like National Statistical Commission, people who, people in International Institute of Population Studies, they are the ones who are bearing the brunt of the state machinery today, not criminals. People who have gone away with thousands of crores of rupees are happily abroad. Not a single person is being brought back, not a single rupee is being brought back. In fact, the main promise in 2014 elections that the black money in the Swiss banks, etc., which is stacked abroad, will be brought in, and honest taxpayers will get 15 lakh rupees per
their account.
Where is that?
And there is no talk about the 2 crore employment generation every year.
Yes, that was another big promise. Per annum, 2
Per
crore
annum,
of rupees.
yeah, that is right.
2 crore employment generation. Nothing has happened. See, this is the kind of thing that we are in.
So coming back to the idea of politics beyond 2024, I wanted to ask you something, is there a need to liberate our political discourse from managing an electoral management machinery into a kind of something more deeper and something more wider?
I think this is the time for people like you, media organizations, independent, and civil society organizations to take a very serious look at the structure of our democracy. To me, it looks very flawed. It encourages the cleavages that are already existing in the Indian society, all the fault lines.
Yeah.
It's very easy to to rake up the controversies about fault lines.
Yes.
You can rake up a controversy about Hindu and Muslim. You can rake up the controversy about one caste against the other, one region against the other. One stream of thought against the other. One sect against the other.
Yeah.
This kind of a thing. And then, the current arrangement that we have in the electoral politics, it has 2 features that to me need a relook. One is first past the post system.
Yeah.
The second one is territorial constituency.
Yeah.
I will give you a very small illustration of why I find territorial constituency in a society like ours does not really serve the Republic's values. You see, all our cleavages, whether it is caste or religion or sectarian or subcaste, region, linguistic, all these are territorial. Certain castes live in certain areas, certain religious groups live in certain areas. Of course, linguistically, there are certain areas. Now, what happens is that, as a simple illustration, if you have a political party, if I had a political party, we are heading political parties, and you are able to attract 100 votes. But in a state or in a country, in a political unit, if your 100 votes are spread evenly among 100 constituencies, you won't get even one seat.
Okay.
You won't win even a single seat.
Yeah.
But if I get only 50, half of you get what you get.
Yeah.
But I get those 50 votes from 10 constituencies, then I win 10 constituencies.
Yeah.
Because my caste is located there, my religion is located there, my linguistic group is located there.
See, that is something which the BJP has managed to do.
Exactly.
For instance, in your book, you have mentioned that they have not yet even got 40% vote share at the all India level.
Yes.
They are somewhere between 30 and 35% of the vote share.
But they have overwhelming, brutal majority.
And
That is one. You don't have to really represent anybody.
Yeah.
You don't have to represent everybody. You don't have to be acceptable by everybody regionally.
And that is why I think that the BJP is one political party which is openly saying that we don't need the 15% votes.
20%.
Yeah. I mean, they are electorally disempowering nearly 20% of the population.
For instance, today, for the first time in the history of our republic, we have a union cabinet and a council of ministers without a single member from the biggest minority
community in the country.
The Muslim community in the country. And in UP, there is not a single member from that community in the ruling party, legislative party. Gujarat, the same thing. The Karnataka, the recently concluded election, not a single seat was given by the BJP to a Muslim candidate either in Karnataka or in Gujarat or even in Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh, yeah.
Forget winning and losing, but you've not even given a ticket. So, which means that look at the kind of flaw. First past the post and the territorial. So they can now say that I don't need these people, even the classic formulation of 𝗃𝗏𝗃𝗀𝗃 earlier, if you remember, with them, without them, in spite of them.
Yeah.
So if they come along, fine. If they don't come along, it's also fine. But even if they oppose us, it's also fine.
Yeah.
So the BJP now is implementing the third in spite of them, even if they are not with us. You see, the change is I don't want you is something. I don't need you is another thing.
Yeah.
Now, they can say that I don't need you to win an election. But today what they're saying is not only I don't need you for practical purposes, but I don't want you. You are unwanted. You are saying that to 20% of the population. At the same time, your hypocrisy is such, you talk about 𝗧𝗵𝗶 𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗀.
Yeah.
You see, you don't want this community, you don't want people who eat that, you don't want people who wear this, you don't want people who are living in Manipur. Certain geographies you don't want, certain culinary practices you don't want, certain religions you don't want, certain languages also you don't want eventually. Today, they might talk anything, but slowly, systematically, one after the other, they will target. Today they are targeting Muslims. Tomorrow after they finish this, they target another minority. And it might even come up to Jains and Buddhists also. Please understand this. It's not going to stop anywhere here.
It's not something happening far off in Manipur alone.
Yes.
It can happen anywhere.
What is happening in Manipur, I'm telling you, it can happen in Kerala also. It can happen in Tamil Nadu also. It can happen in Madhya Pradesh also. It can happen in Karnataka also. Don't think it's a faraway thing, we are safe. Nobody is safe. It just needs, a lot of groundwork is already going on. It just needs one matchstick to inflame the whole thing.
So coming back to the point, so you have, in your beginning, you have said that when we talk about politics is not something confined to the electoral process alone. So we wanted, I mean, don't you think that we wanted the political parties in India or the political people in India to bring these subjects, some of these core elements, the elements of the threat facing some of these core principles like diversity, like federalism. And of course, I wanted to focus on the kind of economic inequality in this country, where the wealth of this country is mainly pocketed by hardly 10% of the population. So what is the possibility for developing a discourse on such subjects and I also wanted to ask you, because you are one of those persons who had the experience of living in a campus like JNU in its heydays, and JNU has become a kind of a icon for all kinds of attacks and all kinds of things. So how do you relate these things?
The thread to your initial query of politics beyond 2024. Now, this is where we have come to. This is the kind of mess that the present regime is wreaking the havoc on our polity. If this continues, then I also said, anything can happen in Kerala also, in Madhya Pradesh also, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, anywhere it can happen. Don't think these things are happening somewhere and we are immune from it and, we have absolutely no threat or danger. This is one. Then 2024, to me, nothing is inevitable.
Okay.
I don't believe in inevitabilism. That anyway, they'll come back to power. Anyway, they'll be defeated. If not today, tomorrow they'll be defeated. Why will anybody be defeated? Why will anybody win? I believe in human agency. We need to work. We need to stop this. We need to stop this madness and take the country back. I am not saying again that one election result will alter everything, but at least it will make your work that much easier. I have been saying repeatedly that communalism today has a huge army. Where is the army for secularism? Where is the army for defending the constitutional values? There is nothing. And what we need to create, both the political parties as well as the civil society organizations, is to create a disciplined army, dedicated, motivated, willing and able to put in hard work without aspiring for immediate results, without aspiring for immediate rewards, in terms of winning election or government positions or limelight or publicity or something. Without all this, people should be able to work. And my project, my understanding is that this project of resecularizing India is a project for the next 20 years. That is one. Then you asked me about the universities.
In 2024, beyond 2024, one of the issues is that it is not electoral politics alone. Our institutions, like academic institutions, scientific institutions, everything is facing a kind of a threat or kind of a devaluation.
Yes.
So JNU, you were, I think, in the late 70s in JNU.
Yes.
So that was one of those...
We were all in jail. I went to Tihar. I was in Tihar for 15 days.
15 days, during that 81 strike.
That's right.
Okay.
And you see, that is the present regime is demonizing JNU.
Yeah.
The present regime is trying to say JNU is good for nothing.
Yes.
JNU is irresponsible. JNU just is eating up the resources. What does it produce? I'll tell you what it produces. JNU gave us one Nobel laureate. And if you want to tell the regime, this regime should look at itself. It has two important ministers who are the products of JNU.
Yeah.
Don't let these people not forget. JNU did contribute to, and across the country there are so many people in the bureaucracy who have learned their core values in JNU. There are so many people in the media who have learned core values in JNU. There are so many people in the academia, in colleges, in universities, here and abroad, who have learned the basics in JNU. And the flowering is that there is a Nobel from JNU And which other university has produced somebody who could win a Nobel Prize in economics?
And the culture of JNU, the openness of JNU,
the
that was one
dialogue.
of the highlights of the campus in the 1970s or the 80s.
The dialogue.
But
The
nowadays it looks
discussion.
like a citadel, it's like a military...
The debate. You know, the passion to destroy hierarchies. And the teacher and the student used to sit like this as equals and debate and discuss. No, that is something which every other university in India should aspire to be. Now, all that has not, as I told you the kind of people it produced.
Yeah.
But I'll also tell you, consistently, even today, consistently JNU stands at number 1 rank, even according to the altered ranking system of this regime. Still it is number 1. You know, it produced luminaries. It is still number 1 in rankings. So, which means that, you know, democratic spirit, secular spirit, spirit that respects diversity, pluralism, liberalism, will not make you a bad student, will not bring your ranking down. You can still be a democrat, you can still be secular, you can be liberal, you can respect diversity, you can, you know, disregard hierarchies, you can dispute, you can discuss, you can debate, you can disagree, you can dissent, but still keep up the academic standards. This regime should know about that. If it doesn't know, it will not only, I mean, JNU is just one small university, but it will disempower the entire country of its knowledge heritage. And you cannot become a superpower without the knowledge infrastructure. You cannot be a Vishwaguru by treating some people as others and some people as ours, by playing favorites, by persecuting minorities. No country which is undemocratic, which is authoritarian, which is fundamentalist, which is past worshipping, which doesn't see the future, which destroys scientific temper, can ever become a superpower. It cannot become a Vishwaguru. You can yourself write, it's a self-proclamation. Who will recognize you? And one social scientist who got the Nobel Prize of late is from our university, is from JNU. Why do you destroy that?
And it's not happening at JNU alone. All other institutions are facing, because today, I mean, this year they didn't give the money for the Indian Science Congress.
And look at what they've done to Center for Policy Research.
Yeah,
they're stifling the voices. They are afraid of independent thought. They are afraid of questioning. They are afraid of debate. They are afraid of dissent. They are afraid of disagreement. They are afraid of people who speak truth to power.
Okay, coming to the concluding part of this discussion, I don't want to end this thing on a pessimistic note. What is the kind of optimism you see? Because you have been traveling across the country for the past, especially in the past few months. So what do you think?
You know, I've been to North India, I've been to South India, I've been to many places. I've been to West and East, including Gorakhpur, Ahmedabad, you know, Delhi, Kozhikode, and Chennai, and, you know, interior places of many states. I found that people are very receptive to the original founding principles of our republic. When I talk to them and say that these are under threat, of course they agree. That these things will have to be rebuilt, they do agree. And what is more heartening, I must tell you, it is not only the elders. I have been also going to many campuses. Even students who are in their graduation, post-graduation, even undergraduate students, they are aware of what is happening. They are not being swept off their feet by this kind of a discourse. They know that the country is being destroyed. The country and its core values are under threat. They did realize, they do realize, and if you just have to encourage them to talk.
So can we say that some kind of a rays of hope are just coming out from this hype and from this darkness?
Yes, of course. I'm very confident. I'm very hopeful also. And I think the younger generation is very alive to the problems, and the younger generation is not in agreement with what is happening today. And if the government thinks that they've been able to shut the universities and their voices, they're mistaken. There is a lot of churning and discussion going amongst the young people. And the poor people are also realizing that the government is only trying to divert their attention from the core economic hardships by creating spectacles of G20, Ram Mandir, some bhajan, some threat, some Maldives and all that. I think they will be, I hope and I think they are going to be just washed away. But let us not be complacent about it, that something is going to happen. I think, I will be able to sleep well if I get the news that, there are efforts to create an army for the founding principles of our republic.
Thank you very much, sir, for spending so much time.
Thank you very much.
And giving your wisdom and your very seasoned and reasonable observations.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.